Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube tech guy. Hey guys, so today we're going to be bringing you the best tips and tricks for the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, but I want to remind you that we will have a separate video on how to take the best photos and videos for the Pixel 6, so make sure to subscribe to go ahead and check that out, and let's get started. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is customize your at a glance, which is just holding this part down and go to customize. And then you can kind of see everything you can do with your home, as well as the at a glance, which is the top widget on your Pixel launcher by default. So you can kind of see what I did here. Basically, I don't like the Google app on the side. If you do, make sure to leave that on. You can add an app immediately when you have a new home screen, and you can do other things here, including rotate your home. Then we have the settings right here, and that is going to be multiple things. Kind of give you ETAs on work and home. I really like this so I can know if I need to leave early because of an accident. And just everything right here. I don't like weather alerts, and I live in California, Los Angeles, so it doesn't really bother me, most weather alerts, but obviously if you do want that, turn that on. And just a little bit of customization to your overall home screen right here. Then we're gonna start getting into the tips and tricks that will save you battery life. So first off, I'm gonna jump ahead into the sim section. And then here I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to get to right here. If you actually change your preferred network type to LTE, that will save you about an hour to an hour and a half battery in most areas. This will really just save you a lot more time than most things with one touch of a button. So if you ever do need to save battery life, even if you're on 50% or lower, it will bump up your battery just a little bit compared to what it was, even if you've already drained half of it. So this is a really good recommendation, especially if you don't have 5G in your area. The signal is constantly searching for it and it's just draining your battery life. Then one thing you should know in your internet section is when you actually have your home internet, you don't have to actually give anyone the password anymore. You can just hit share and that will give anyone the password to your home internet. So if it's a long, drawn out, complicated password, you don't have to worry about it. Just hit share and you will be able to give them your internet. The last part here is going to be when we swipe up, you want to make sure to turn on adaptive connectivity. This is going to be really good. Basically, it'll just adapt your network connections. So if it's better off that you have LTE or Wi-Fi, it will determine that for you and make it a nice, easy pick. Now, when it comes to connected devices, there are a couple things I want you guys to know, and first is when you connect headphones, make sure that your HD audio is on. If the phones are capable of it, this will allow you to have much better audio quality than you would normally get. So that's one thing that I would really recommend you always make sure to take a look at, because you could actually be getting better quality from your phone without knowing it. Then under connection preferences, I would make sure to check nearby sharing. This is essentially the same if you've ever heard of Apple AirDrop or Samsung's Quick Share. Now, what this does is basically it searches nearby areas and has anyone that is also doing nearby searching or that is in your contacts to automatically allow you to share with them. Now, this goes by your Gmail account. So if your Gmail account has a contact in it, it will automatically recognize them. If not, either way, it will always ask for permission before sending and before receiving. So it's not like someone can hack into you with this, but it's just something you always want to be aware of, because this will allow you to share big videos, hundreds of photos, whatever you need to share with someone else in a very quick way. Very important to know, especially if you never tried it on the newer versions of Android. And just so you can see what it looks like, when we have it on this screen right here, I'm sharing a bunch of photos nearby, and that is the way you can share with someone that knows you. Now, this next section is going to be the biggest thing you should know about when it comes to saving battery life. After getting done with this, depending on how many apps you have on your phone, you will save an hour to 2 hours just with this feature. And that is under apps. As you can see, I have a lot of them. You're going to go into your apps and you're going to make it so that they cannot run in the background. And how you're going to do that is swiping up, going to battery, and going to restrict. This will make it so that it will not run in the background whatsoever. For an additional kind of like making sure that your app isn't running in the background, I also always recommend to go to mobile data and Wi-Fi and turn off data background. Again, this will make it so that it will not run in the background at all when you do not want to use it. Now, what would you do this for? You would do this for things like games. Games you usually don't need to run in the background for the most part unless it's a specific game, maybe like Pokemon Go, where you have to walk around and you want it to run in the background. Another thing might be like a banking app. Things like that that you do not necessarily need to run in the background ever, or would ever want them to. This will make sure that doesn't happen. Now, as you can see, I have over 200 apps, so this is going to take me some time, but this will save you so much battery life. And again, we're going to be testing out and reviewing the Pixel 6's battery life after this to show you how much maximum screen on time you can get more than any other channel. And of course, I always get the question, well, what would you not want this turned on for? So I wouldn't want this turned on for something as simple as email or text messaging. Obviously, I want those kind of things to run in the background. Social media can be tricky. Maybe you want it to run in the background, maybe you don't. You choose that on each platform. Possibly maybe LinkedIn I don't really need to run in the background, but maybe I want Twitter or Instagram to run in the background. So it just depends on what you want to do. But I would go through all your apps, anything you don't need to run in the background, put it on restricted, and you will save a lot of battery life. Now, before we leave the app section, I want to make sure you realize don't highlight any app that you don't know. Maybe don't highlight anything like Google or Android, because if you don't know what those are, then you just want to leave them alone so your phone doesn't start messing up. If your phone does mess up, go back to here and undo what you did in the Google or Android services kind of apps. Then from here, we're going to have a couple more to go through. And the first thing is game settings. So this is your gamer mode that basically when you launch a game, this will launch with it. So gaming dashboard, it's kind of a way to improve your overall gaming experience. There's a couple things you can do with it. We'll go over that in a second. But you also want to be able to possibly choose do not disturb for games. Now what this will do is basically make it so that you are on do not disturb mode and do not get notifications unless you really want them. So if you don't want notifications while gaming, turn this on. I know on some phones they're turned on by default. So you want to know if you want that on or not, because like my wife wasn't getting my messages when she was playing a game and she didn't realize until later that this was on, so she turned it off. And when you do play a game, this is a little icon that you have here, and you can move it kind of just to the side, so it's just a little icon. But when you pull it out, then you have these abilities. So one, you can do optimization if the game is available for it, and not all games are. You can do screenshots right away, you can do screen recording, you can do frames per second and adapt it and see how much your frames are moving in the game. You can again tune on do not disturb mode, and you can go right to YouTube Live. So you can live stream your game and you right to it. You can activate the camera, do lots of different things on here. So again, if you want to go to the game settings, that is a quick way to optimize the exact gameplay you want. Then we're going to scroll down here further and go to Assistant. Now, this is where you can really improve your Assistant overall. You can choose how it reacts to hey, and then also your power button. Do you want your power button to be an assistant, or do you want it to turn off? Now, normally I've always had it turn off, but for this one, I'm going to try something different just because Google got rid of the swipe from the corner to bring up the Google Assistant, and I really want to have it at a quick reaction. So I'm trying this out to see how I like it. I might go away from it, but we'll have to see. And then you can see all your assistant settings. You can see what Google has access to. You can see what you're okay with it. And I love to use my assistant for pretty much everything. So I will have pretty much all settings on. But again, go there to actually see what Google can see, what you're okay with it seeing, and what you want it for convenience wise. Pretty much for me, I have it all on just because I really do love the convenience factor. And then we go to notifications. Now there is a new thing in notifications called conversations. And this will allow you to actually do certain things, basically put certain people in priority. So if you want, you can actually look through everything you have here and actually set priorities for certain people or things. So for my friend here, I can make him a priority. I can make it pop up on the screen, I could have it have a different sound, a unique sound, show up on the lock screen. Anything you kind of want to do, you can really make your notifications priority on who is the most top of your list in that section. And then you also have the bubbles section, which I've never been too big of a fan of, but if you want your notification in bubbles that float around your phone, then you can turn them on right here. So as we swipe down here, you can see certain things. So you can see sensitive notifications. Do you want to show them in your lock screen? You can see what happens on do not disturb mode. You can add emergency alerts. So you have those prioritized and everything you need it to be. You also have the ability to kind of see what you want. Do you want enhanced notifications? Do you want notifications dot with an icon? Do you want to hide notification status in the bar? Those are kind of things you can kind of see everything you want. And I am a fan of having it mostly this way. So that's how I set it up. And then we're gonna scroll down and start with battery. So for battery, there's a couple of things right here. One, adaptive preferences. You can actually see that I have restricted 132 of the apps. So more than half of the apps that I had on my phone are now restricted and cannot run in the background. This is really helpful, again, for battery life and will improve it dramatically from what you had it before. Then you also have the ability to turn on battery saver. And there's two forms of battery saver. There is the regular one and there is the extreme one. So the regular one, you can have it set to turn on at a certain percentage is what I would do. So I would have it turn on at 25%. That would be what I would set it at, just to make sure that when you are low on battery, you aren't using a lot of background stuff. You're actually maximize your battery so your phone doesn't die. Then you also can turn on extreme battery saving. Now, this is an old school way, but basically this turns everything black and white and basically disables every app that you do not put on the essentials list. So you can add certain apps to use in this mode, but basically other than that, you're gonna be basically using an internet browser, a phone dialer, text message, and that's about it. There's very few things that will work in this mode, but again, the whole idea behind this mode is that when you need extreme battery life, like you want your phone to last for 5 days, this is what you want it set to. And of course, I would always show battery percentage. I think we all like to usually have that there, so I just want to point that out right over here. In storage, the only thing you probably much want to know about is probably the trash section. So you always do have a trash section and it doesn't go away for 30+ days sometimes. And sometimes depending on your settings, it doesn't go away at all. So you just want to kind of clear that out every once in a while. Mine is almost up to a gig. So definitely want to clear that out. I'm just going to hit all items and then delete. And now it's permanently gone and I get almost a gig back in my storage. So I'm pretty happy with that. Then we're going to go to display. Now in this section, you are going to be able to save a lot of battery life. First thing you're going to want to do is I like to recommend always my screen brightness to remain at either 70 to 80%. It's pretty much fine for most people and it's going to be fine for most situations. If you go into something like a movie theater, then turn it down. But other than that, you should be fine for most situations. Now I will say adaptive brightness actually does make your phone lose battery quicker. The reason why is because there's always a sensor basically looking out for how much light your phone needs to have at all times. And because of that, your battery is actually draining quicker than actually just moving it up and down when need be. So again, that's why I set it to about 70 to 80% to make sure that my battery is going to be top notch, and this will again save you battery life. Now it bears repeating, but we've gone over this on a lot of phones. Dark theme is something that you need to have. The reason why is this will save you another hour to an hour and a half, depending on how you use your phone, for all purposes. The reason why is because this is what's called an Amoled display. On an Amoled display, all black pixels are actually your screen off. So as you can see, the majority of the screen right now is actually off. That definitely saves some battery life. So that is why you want to have dark theme on at all times, not turning on and off, not switching or anything like that, just have it on at all times. In your color section, you can go from adaptive, boosted, or neutral, depending on what you like. I definitely like boosted, but adaptive works pretty well, so I'm gonna keep it on there for right now, but that's just definitely a preference. Smooth display. Now this will save you about half an hour from what I've seen on the Pixel so far if you turn this off. And what this is basically it goes from 60 to 120 hertz. So it cannot go all the way down to 1 like some other phones, but basically what this can do is either go from 60 or 120 depending on the apps you're using. If you turn this off, it'll remain at 60 the entire time. But if you didn't notice a real smooth speed in this phone, then you probably don't notice 120 hertz. And if you want to save your battery life, then you can just turn it off. Then increased touch sensitivity, you can turn that on if you have a screen protector on here. I'm getting one shipped, so as soon as I get that one, I will be putting that on. So one new thing in Android 12 is Wallpaper and Style. Basically, your wallpapers will actually work now with your overall interface or the look of your phone. So when you change your wallpaper, your icons, your look, everything, how your phone looks in terms of the text, everything will go by what wallpaper you have, and then it'll give you some choices. I personally like this one because I think the blue goes really well with it, so that's the one I pick. But you can kind of choose whatever you want so that your wallpaper matches you, and that's why they call it UUI. If you're not typically in a very bright sunny area like I am in LA or under studio lights, you can actually do something called extra dim. This basically actually turns your phone screen lower than it could normally be. Now, the reason why this is good or why you'd want to use it, again, it saves battery life. So it's just something I thought that was kind of interesting, and it makes it so that it's never as bright as it normally would be. Again, something that could save you battery life, but at a cost. So it depends on you if you want it that bad. And in security, the first thing you're gonna want to take a look at is Find My Device. Make sure this is on. Basically what this allows you to do is sign into your Gmail account on any computer or another Android device and effectively delete your phone, lock it, make sure that no one else can use it. If you lose it, it will pinpoint to where it is. If it is turned off, it'll pinpoint to where it was last turned on. And if it goes back online, it will show you that again. So just something really important to note for that purpose. It is very important. Now under lock screen, you can decide how much your timeout is, as well as how much it goes off instantly if you hit the power button. I usually like to disable this after I do all my videos because I find it annoying for it to always be locked. So it depends on you, but I personally don't like it to be locked that often. So I kind of expand that as much as possible. Then we're gonna go to the bottom to advanced setting. Now there's two things you're gonna wanna do. First thing is to go off of what we went over earlier, turn on Find My Device so it can allow this phone to either lock or erase no matter what. If you need to find your phone, you can not only find it, but lock it and erase it if need be, and no one else can stop this because of this being on. And then we go back to Smart Lock. Smart Lock is probably the best thing, especially if you happen to do things like driving with your phone and using navigation or things like that. So Smart Lock, what it allows you to do, lock your phone when you do not want your lock screen to be on. Now you can do this through several different ways. I do it mainly through two. Trusted places. I don't need my lock screen to be on at home. It's just not a place where I do need it to be. Maybe you don't need it to be on at work. Whatever you want it to be, you can actually disable it so it will not turn on in that area. Second thing is trusted devices. Trusted devices is really good, especially if, say, if you don't want to have a lock screen, if you have your smartwatch connected to your phone, then you might not need it. The biggest one though definitely is when it's connected to your car's Bluetooth. This means that if it's a trusted device, your car will make sure that the phone does not turn on the lock screen, because that can be very dangerous when driving. So very important to make sure to turn that on, and it will be very beneficial. Now I just want to let you know about safety and emergency. This one is something that I would recommend filling out. I didn't want to before the video, but I would put my emergency contacts here. I would do car crash detection. This will actually tell your emergency contact that you were in a car crash so that they know right away. It can even call 911 if you want them to. So it is very important. The other thing I would recommend is having certain things on. So again, if you're in emergency, local services will be able to find you. That's really important. If you are like me in LA, you want earthquake alerts. These are things that, again, cater to you, but it just wants you guys to know about it. And then under Google, from here, you can do a couple of things. You can do autofill. So if you want Google to remember all your passwords so you don't have to, and even create more secure passwords than you will, this is a great way to go. Find My Device if you need to find maybe a tablet that got lost or something else. And also one really important thing is backing up your device. So that's really important because you want to always back up everything you have on here just in case you lose your device and you want a new phone, your Android account will restore it. So for me, I have apps backed up, photos and videos, text messages, calls, device settings, and everything else all ready to go. And then one last thing that is buried here, if this is going to be a work phone, you're going to want to go to Setup and then set up your work profile. This is what you're going to set up with your IT admin, just so you have separate work apps and basically like a separate phone all around when it comes to your business side. So this is really great. Again, if you do have a work phone with this phone, this is going to be really easy to set up. Then we're going to go to gestures, and this is how I have my phone set up with everything from quick tap to my phone being on when I grab it or tap it. And then flip shush, I don't need that gyroscope to go off for it, so I just turn that off. And one-handed mode, so when you're in your phone, you can actually go to one-handed mode and it will basically make your phone accessible through one-handed. Then we're gonna go to language and inputs and go to on-screen keyboard and Gboard. Now, if you don't happen to change your keyboard, this is where you're gonna change everything for the Google one. There's lots of things from preferences to theme. I always like to change the theme and the way it looks. I like to have a number row, lots of different things you can do. So go ahead and check them out, but there are lots of different tricks and tips you can do with just this section and making it just the way you want it. I will say that I'm not the biggest fan of Gboard overall, so I usually still like SwiftKey better, but Gboard is always there and built into your phone. Then you should know you can access multiple users, so if you do want to have a guest mode or a kid mode separately from your phone, you can do that. This is always good if you're handing it to someone else and you want them to use it but don't want to reveal everything you have. This is a really great way to go about it. And then we're going to make sure you have developer options so your overall screen moves quicker when you're using it without draining more battery life. So we're going to go back and then we're going to go to About Phone and scroll all the way down and hit build number repeatedly. This is at the very bottom, and once you hit it so many times, it'll ask you for your password if you have one. Enter it in, and then you will have developer options. So what developer options allows you for is to do lots of different things on your phone, but the biggest thing we like to do right away is to make sure that our phone is running at top speed. So you're going to scroll all the way down till you get to the drawing category. And once you're here, you're going to go 0.5 on each of these, and this will make your phone move much quicker than it did before. So that will make your phone run much smoother, much quicker than you ever needed to. So it will be top speed. All right, guys, hopefully you did like this video. If you did, please give a like, thumbs up. This do take a long time to make, but I want to make sure you have the absolute best experience on your phone. And again, make sure to subscribe. Check out all of our other videos that we will have on the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. Thank you as always again for watching. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy.
Thank you so much again for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below. Also, follow us on social media at YouTube Tech Guy, and check out some more great tech videos on your screen right now.